Ladies and gents, welcome back to Game 3. We are actually at match point for the finals of the Garena All-Star Championship 2016. We are going to be your casters for today. Once again, this is Coach Arctic at your service, and with me is the amazing Iconic right here by my side. But, I don't want to prolong this any longer. This is going to be quite the interesting match between Vietnam and Thailand right now, as Vietnam is now 2-0, and we'll be seeing what's going to happen if Vietnam can get a clean sweep of a 3-0 as we go into this game for today. So let's go ahead and see what happens in just a little bit when we hit pick and ban, and there we go. So Iconic, let's see. Let's see what we got here.
We get to see Duke's Victor again. As we saw yesterday with how Duke played so well on Victor. Actually, both mid laners, I would actually expect that Victor would be a very contested pick between these two mid laners because they actually play Victor really well. But the funny thing is we actually see Nar being picked up for the first time in the entire tournament, and we also see Brand support possibly.
Yes, indeed. It could be a possibility because earlier during Game 2, we did see that potential hover over when they were deciding on their support, although they did ultimately lean towards Dinami in the end. So this is going to be very interesting if we do see this Brand support in the potentially what could be the third and final game if Vietnam does manage to win this. But going into this pick so far for Thailand, we do see a complete composition right here. What are your thoughts on this, Iconic rather?
Oh, I actually like how they hit their top lane. They actually picked the Karma to actually flex her. They could play Karma top or Karma support. Karma top actually does pretty decently. So Vietnam, not knowing what the enemy top laner is for sure, they actually just go with a safe pick, which is Nar. But then Thailand instantly replies with the Jace. Jace does really well against a Nar, and I expect a lot of I expect a solo kill, maybe even two from Intresso on the QTV right here. So lane wise, I think the matchups are actually pretty even, but we actually see Noi on this corner again. So as we were talking about yesterday, Noi has these weird comfort picks that actually work out for him. Like we saw his corner that went full AD, not that tanky, but still a very decent front line. He has used his impales to always transition them into kills. So we will see how Noi will be able to use this comfort pick to try to take a game off of Vietnam. But Vietnam and picking up the Vladimir as the last pick. So Victor versus Vladimir, it can go either way also. Assuming if the Victor doesn't get the early lead in pre-6, then the Vladimir can start out sustaining the damage that he's able to dish out. So a lot of early game pressure coming out from Thailand with this power pick of the Victor and the Jace. We can see if they can get these kills, they might be able to do something about it.
And here we go. What really interests me, of course, the very obvious is, what do you feel about the Jin and Brand interaction going up against an Ezreal and a Karma?
That's actually something that's very unexpected. Jin can work well with the Brand because of the Seer. It actually prolongs the amount of time you can use the Deadly Flourish on the enemy. So if Brand can hit one of his abilities, they can be marked, and it's gonna be easier for the Graves to come in and hit a gank because of that extended duration of that mark where the Jin can actually use his Deadly Flourish to snare the enemy. So a lot of mobility coming out from Thailand side though with the Karma and the Ezreal. It means that they have a very slippery bot lane. I don't know if we'll actually see a lot of action there. I think the focus would still be on the mid lane and the top lane this game because Brand and Jin are both very immobile, so you might see Noi there, but we might not see the Graves putting that much pressure on the Thailand bot lane.
I see. So I guess what we'd be seeing more is with the Jin and the Brand, something a little bit more safer, if I'm not mistaken.
They're actually a very aggressive bot lane, but the thing is, Thailand picked the bot lane composition that's very, very slippery. Karma with an Ezreal both have escape mechanisms in terms of having that arcane shift and also the movement speed. Also the heal coming out from Karma as well with her empowered abilities. So I don't think there's gonna be that much action there. A lot of poking, but if there are misplays there, it could result in a kill in favor of Vietnam because they actually do have the kill pressure there, especially with the Brand picking up the Ignite.
So yeah, that's going to be a very interesting, especially Vietnam going into this Game 3 match point right now, pulling out the Brand, although we'll have to see how this fares against Thailand right now. Again, you cannot discount the fact that Thailand is, one of the top teams going into the All-Stars. But ladies and gents, we are going to be going into Game 3 for today's match in the finals. This is going to be very intense. Once again, this is going to be between Thailand's Thailand Pro League and Vietnam's Vietnam Champions Series. So ladies and gents, make some noise. We could potentially be seeing a 3-0, but then again, Thailand could make the upset and make this a 2-1. So we'll see how this goes on as we do a rundown of the champions for the blue side. Take it away, Iconic.
So for the blue side, we have Intresso on the Victor, while we have on the mid lane Victor, we have Duke on the top lane Jace. Actually, I think they weren't able to swap their champions right here because we know Intresso as the top laner, but Duke, we have this is interesting. So we have Noi on the jungle Skarner, we have Golden Feet on the AD carry Ezreal, and we have Sek on the support Karma.
This is very interesting indeed, but before we go into that, let's go ahead and run down the red side from Vietnam. In the top lane, we have QTV on the Snar. In the jungle, we have Levi on the Graves. In the mid lane, we have Optimus on the Vladimir. And to sum up our bot lane right here, a personal favorite of mine, my boy Celebrity, on AD carry for the Jin, and Ron OP on the Brand for support. Very interesting indeed.
I think this is just the nerves right now for Thailand, not being able to swap their champions right there. But the interesting thing is Intresso actually has his summoners also prepped for the mid lane. So I don't know what Thailand has right now up their sleeves, but it's actually very unorthodox.
Yes, actually, indeed. Especially in such a high stakes scenario, maybe they were potentially trying to play some mind games here, although I can't really see the benefit of this because ultimately we're still seeing the standard lane of Juke, adjusting to the top lane, Intresso going into the mid lane, so we'll see how this goes.
But yeah, as we were talking about earlier, Jace taking an early trade against the Dinar, that's what you usually expect from this kind of lane. And as you can see, the Victor also actually, the Victor is getting pushed in by the Vladimir. This is not good for the Victor because the Victor has an early advantage pre-6 before the Vladimir actually has a lot of points in his Q to actually sustain off damage. So,
oh, Sek
wow.
taking a lot of damage, and Golden Feet trying to do what he can, but that'll be a first blood going to Celebrity right there as Golden Feet tries to run for his life. Will he be going down? The Ron OP and Celebrity continuing to give the chase, but no, he will be escaping with a slither of health right now. Oh, hold that thought. I stand corrected. That is going to be a double kill for Celebrity right there. Very well played by Team Vietnam.
So these are the misplays that could happen when you have this safe lane, but you allow Celebrity and Ron OP to get on top of you. This kind of the damage output coming out from the Vietnamese bot lane is insane, but you should play a little bit more passively and try to sustain off it with the shields and with the heals coming out from the Karma.
And it's very interesting, especially that's something I really wouldn't expect, knowing that that isn't Ezreal and Karma that they're up against. As you've said, this is a very slippery bot lane, so for them to just get the full onslaught from Celebrity and on OP is very uncharacteristic almost, especially we're looking at two high-level players here who go in this bot lane, so I'm kind of surprised that Golden Feet and Sek did allow this to happen so early on in the game.
They were actually able to cheese the Thailand bot lane right there.
Oh, hold that thought right there. Levi gonna try to get the kill onto Intresso, and Intresso again escaping with a slither of health right here so far, and yeah, I guess he will potentially be backing off from this, but let's go ahead and check out this replay right here because everything happened so fast. So the Ignite, well, actually no, it wasn't the Ignite.
It was the Ignite plus the Brand passive as well. They had the shield, the Karma could have lived, but because of the passive coming out from from Brand. And we have the snipe as well, the no-look snipe onto the Jin, onto the Ezreal by the Jin with the fire touch as well.
Yes, and there we go. Going back into this game, we see a kill being taken off onto Victor right here, but they will be responding by taking a kill off Vladimir in the mid lane. So fairly even trade, although then again, looking at this 1-3 so far in favor of Vietnam.
So far, we have a big lead coming out from the Nard. This is looking bad for Duke. I guess it's one of the reasons why you want your top laner to be in top lane, because he has more experience in this matchup. Because in this matchup, ideally the Jace can abuse the Gnar early on.
Ooh, Sek taking quite the damage here from Rano people. But as you were saying, Iconic.
Yes, as I was saying, the Jace can cheese the Gnar when he spikes at level 2 and level 3. and that will give him a substantial golden EXP lead because of the amount of CS and pressure that he can put onto the Nars. So it looks like a lot of inexperience right now in the top lane.
Yeah, this is somewhat very interesting from Thailand. I'm not really sure if this was planned or if this was intentional, the non-swap here. Although, then again, I guess it might make sense because based off the previous games, one of the strongest horses, hold that thought right there. Noi gonna go try to get onto Optimus right here, but Optimus, I believe, will easily be able to escape from that, especially since Noi does not have his ult up just yet.
Usually, pre-6 Garner ganks are really bad, especially if your enemy is playing as defensive as this Vladimir and has a defensive ability like Sanguine Pool. So, Snoy just showing himself on the map, giving a lot of information for Vietnam. They now know which side of the jungle he's on. Just because he came from the left side, they now know he's on the right side. But they also spot out Levi in the right side river.
Yes, indeed. Very interesting there by Vietnam. That does say a lot. But oh, Golden Feet in a little bit of trouble here. Sek gonna try to hold them off from getting any more damage onto Golden Feet, and I believe Golden Feet and Sek will be walking away from that. But Levi roaming, just hanging around a little bit, maybe potentially. But Noi spotting out Levi right there and will be walking off.
This is very scary for for the Ezreal right now because the serrated Dirk is already completed for Celebrity, and he has a call to match the serrated Dirk. So Jin right now, you'd expect him to just keep shoving the wave or freeze it, and then start building a bigger golden EXP lead on against this Ezreal, especially with the brand doing a stellar job of zoning out the bot lane of Thailand.
Yes, indeed. And well, as I was saying, during the previous game, as far as performance, oh, hold that thought right there. Levi and Optimus going very hard onto Entresto though, but Noi will be responding, but will be getting the kill onto Entresto right there. Noi in a little bit of trouble as Levi and Optimus continue to chase, but no. Okay, they will be backing off from that. Although, yes, then again, Noi is at level 6, so that could have been a little bit scary right there. But then again, Noi continuing to chase. Stand corrected. Optimus might get the ult onto him, but no, Sek will be responding as well. Will he be able to get this kill onto Optimus and will be going down to Juke? Kill to Juke. 1-1 if I'm not mistaken. But still, kind of leaning towards Vietnam at this point.
Wow, QTV was actually a little late to that rotation, but it wouldn't have mattered because the Karma was also there. Ron OP just staying at the bot lane. One of the things I like about Ron OP during the past few days is that he always takes the proactive roam to mid lane, but this time it's actually Sek taking that roam. Usually, as a brand, you'd actually just want to stay in lane and assert your dominance, poke out the enemy AD carry, and help further the gold and CS lead of your AD carry. So, as you can see, a lot of zoning right now. What's important there is Ron OP having the brush control so that he can zone out the Ezreal and the Karma from any CS and EXP.
Yes, there we go. And Treso, just a little bit of a trade-off, looking at each other in the mid lane here. But Juke! Okay, so he's just going to be clearing that way. As I was saying earlier, if this were an intentional strategy by Thailand right here for Entreso to be sent to the mid and Juke in the top lane, because earlier, as far as performance, Entreso is one of the more consistent members on Thailand. I feel like he's much more reliable to not fall behind because he has been performing absolutely beautifully throughout this series. So maybe, just maybe, they let Juke go top, knowing that the Jace will have a little bit more time naturally against Anar, while allowing Entreso, relying on his skill to just kind of balance things out in the mid lane versus Optimus, because Optimus is one of the strong players on Team Vietnam here. And I feel like, if there's one player that could potentially go up against him mechanically, it could be Entreso. But then again, this is a rule difference right here, so this is somewhat of a risk as well for Thailand.
We actually see a 3-man stack right now from Vietnam onto the bot lane. As I was saying earlier, they were freezing the lane and now they want to cash in on this gigantic minion wave, getting a lot of chunk damage onto this bot tier 1 turret. Noi a little late to the party. They already got a ton of damage. They actually are going to take the first turret from Thailand. So Vietnam doing a really good job of setting up that slow push, using three waves of minions and rotating their jungler down, saying, "Hey, come here, let's take the first tier 1 turret." So very proactive play from Vietnam. As you can see, their communication is still pretty good.
Exactly, Thailand, they just couldn't stop the momentum that Vietnam has been exhibiting so far, and this may potentially be an easy dragon. They're a little bit late. Sek trying to do what he can, but not quite happening right there. And not to mention this gold lane, this is somewhat unheard of. 3,000 gold difference as early as the 10-minute mark here for Vietnam. Vietnam just pulling the stops on Thailand.
As you can see, the NAR actually has a CS lead over the Jace, and the lead the celebrity has is just crazy. 30 CS above his counterpart, 2 kills also. The gold lead is just coming from the bot lane right now.
There we go, back coming from Interest. A little mission accomplished. They were able to fend off the Gnar, to force him back to base there. And here we go, second Golden Feet dueling up Optimus right here. Then again, that does kind of make sense, I guess, considering that that bot lane is pushed.
Well, we actually have QTV going to the bot right now, which is really good because he still has TP advantage over the Jace. So we can expect another big team fight at the top lane, considering if Celebrity starts slow push at top lane. But right now we have Levi on the right side, jungle slowly going to the left side after maybe possibly an invade. So he's just adding pressure onto the Thailand side.
So there we go, Konfi trying to get off what he can, but here we go, we might be seeing Noi trying to get onto Ron OP here, but not quite happening as Ron OP will be stunning Noi to prevent him from any further aggression right there.
That was a very, very nice stun coming out from Brand, stopping his imminent death. That was a very bad flash by Noi though, making a linear flash onto not over the seer, but instead into the seer.
Exactly, and especially when on a Skarner this early, knowing that you're 2 and 4, you kind of want to maximize what effectiveness that you have, especially since you kind of want to start evening out the goal difference here that is in favor of Vietnam. And with that flash down, especially a very wasted flash, not getting anything out of that, that's really gonna hurt Thailand a little bit without that flash right there on the Skarner.
But we can see the amount of focus that there is right now on the top lane.
Oh, but Sek will be going down to Celebrity just like that. The damage is real coming from Celebrity, and Ron OP, a really good combo here. But Noi, hold that thought right there, will be trying to get some vengeance for Sek right there as they go in. This is going to be quite the team fight. Look at the damage. Celebrity will be going down. Juke will be going down as well as they continue to trade off. Noi against 3 here. Will he be able to run from this though? QTV slowing him a little bit as they continue to give chase, but TPL Noi will be going down. But Intresso low on mana, not exactly the best idea to get sighted here by QTV as he continues to give chase. But then again, I guess Intresso will be escaping that. 3 and 7 on our scoreboard. A little bit of fancy footwork here. Well, this is a little bit awkward here as they try to give chase, but then again, what can he do?
That's
QTV.
so aggressive.
Here we go. The action is clearly not done yet. Andressa will be going down, taking the kill onto QTV rather, and Levi will be walking away from that. That is going to be 4-4-7 on our scoreboard, fairly in favor of the Vietnam team.
Celebrity has been the hero this game. He's actually stayed alive for a really long time.
Ooh, but Levi trying to get damage here. The curtain call coming up, and we'll be getting the kill onto Juke right there. That is going to be a killing spree. Levi having quite a good time here.
This is surprising because as we saw the past few days, it was usually the story of the mid laners, Optimus carrying his team, Duke carrying his team. But now Celebrity is just stepping up and hard carrying all together with Levi. Last game, Celebrity and Levi also did a stellar job, had a stellar performance. And it's just showing right now how consistent they are and how in the zone they are.
Exactly, the momentum that they build up leading up to this Game 3 is absolutely amazing. You're totally seeing it, the aggression, just how sure they are of making these plays right here. While Thailand, slowly they're kind of fumbling throughout these games. And Game 3, it's really showing at this point. I feel like they potentially could be caving into the pressure, but then again, we'll have to see, it still is, I guess it's still too early to tell, but, based on what I'm seeing here, Vietnam just having a great time against Thailand at this point.
This is still scary though because there are 3 kills on the Victor and they don't have a locket. Usually a Brand support, these kinds of supports, Brand and Zyra, they don't usually build lockets, so it's more on the jungler, but then you also have a Graves jungle, so I don't know where the locket is gonna come out for the Vietnamese side because they have to get that item to not be too shot by a Victor.
Quite true, actually, and that is something Vietnam has to be considered. They don't want to get too cocky, although the momentum is there, and I'm loving the confidence that I'm seeing as far as the plays here. But Noi trying to get Levi here, but will be skipping that. But Levi taking too much damage right there. Will be chasing Optimus as well. Will Optimus be going down as well? Noi's ult is down, and Optimus continuing to try to walk away from this, and will indeed. That is going to be a 1-for-0 trade in favor of Thailand.
So Duskblade actually being built out of Jin, confidence coming out of Celebrity, not needing the extra movement speed from the Yumus, Ghostblade. So I wonder what he's going to build to next. Probably a Yumus. We might actually even see an Essence Reaver. We have seen those builds before where they just go for one armor pen item and then go straight to the standard build. So I don't know how Celebrity is going to do it, but he should be building optimally so that he can start the snowball against Thailand.
Yes, and we have a little bit of siege here from Team Vietnam, but without the creep wave, they will be backing away, and Noi just lingering around, try to defend as hard as they can, and I believe they will be able to defend this. Still fairly in Vietnam's court so far.
Noi actually switching it up because his old Skarner build, he rushed Trinity Force and went for the Warrior Enchantment, but now he getting the first item, Cinderhulk. You can just see how dire the situation is for him right now. His confidence must be shaken because he just going for first item, Cinderhulk, not that gold deficient as well because you don't have any bonus HP coming from your other items. So we will see how fast Vietnam can dispatch of this Skarner because all he has right now is a ton of armor, but the Vladimir and the Brander, the sources of magic damage that can tear through him, especially with the percentage health damage.
Here we go, trying to get damage onto Noi, but Noi a bit on the tankier side, and the damage isn't quite enough to actually deal anything significant on that Skarner right there. Oh, but hold that thought. Still, we have the curtain call coming up. Will they be able to snipe Impresso, though? And Sek will be blocking that last hit, though. Noi trying to get the kill. And yes, that is going to be a 1-for-1 trade so far. Continuing to give chase. Thailand, looking to be good here. Noi will not be getting that much damage onto the ground there. And, so far, Thailand making a small comeback right there. Not that significant just yet with the goal difference, but yeah, good job, Thailand. 1 and 2.
That was a Celebrity actually walking towards the enemy team right there. Probably a lot of miscommunication. The Jace actually dealing a ton of damage that fight though. And they could probably transition that into a Dragon if they choose so because they have the numbers advantage. But the opportunity has already passed since all teams have all 5 members up and alive.
So there we go. Cold and Feet and Sek doing their best to defend this, and so far no response is coming up yet. And Vietnam is going to really push hard. They really want at this mid turret because this will just really open up the map for them once this turret is taken down, and that is indeed going to be a turret taken by Team Vietnam.
We most likely will see a rotation to the Dragon just because we have a very heavy stack from the Vietnamese team onto the right side of the map. And as you can see, Duke just backed. The Vietnamese team would know that Duke actually backed, so this isn't a free Dragon because they have no vision control whatsoever of the Dragon. They don't even know that Vietnam was started the Dragon.
Yes, indeed, and that was a very easy and breezy take there by Team Vietnam with a 5,000 goal difference. As we go into the 20-minute mark, 7 and 9, Vietnam, the momentum is just so real. Thailand trying their best, and so far they have been doing fairly decent at this small skirmishes to try to get back into this game here. But we will see if they will be able to build up that momentum to potentially force this to a 2-1.
I really hope that QTV can actually land a really good TP flank into a good Mega Gnar because that's one of the win conditions that Vietnam has right now. Because of Vladimir does not have as much damage as a Victor, he's actually there to help amplify the damage of Celebrity, of Ronopi, of Levi, but they have to be caught off guard with QTV CC. So it's actually more on QTV right now, but
ooh, but hold the thought there. Noi and QTV trying to deal the damage as they try to take him down. And yes, Intresso will be successful at getting that kill onto QTV right there. That's going to be a 1-for-0 trade. No response whatsoever from the Vietnamese team.
These are mistakes that shouldn't happen at all. So right now we have a little trading in the mid lane, but QTV was shoving way too hard without any vision control. His teammates weren't even there.
And here we go, the curtain call coming up, going on to Noi. Noi really tanking it like a brother right there. But then again, Optimus taking a lot of damage as well. But then again, trying to trade off as much as they can. With the onslaught, they continue to give chase. But will they be able to going down? Unfortunately, Thailand trying to make a comeback right here, but will not be happening. And Tresso a little bit too late into this.
Sadly, QTV didn't have teleport that fight. If QTV was there, it could have been a different story. But Levi also there, going to help wave clear for that tier 1 mid turret.
There we go. That'll be a turret that'll live another day in the mid lane, but still, a little bit going back and forth, but I gotta say, still Vietnam looking a little bit better here than Thailand. I'm still waiting for that big move from Thailand that will really show us that they can potentially flex some muscle and show Vietnam that they still have some fighting chance in them.
We might see that coming out from the Jace and the Victor, because all of Thailand's gold right now are on those two carries. The Ezreal actually just has an Iceborne Gauntlet completed right now. Very smart itemization, by the way, considering that the three AD sources of damage coming from Vietnam. But yeah, the Skarner is actually super tanky right now. Celebrity not even just scratching him with the curtain call earlier. So we might see a very prolonged fight right now, unless the Jace and the Victor can instantly kill Celebrity, Ron OP, or Levi.
So there we go, 8 and 10 on our scoreboard, 5,000 gold difference. Vietnam still looking pretty good, although Thailand shows some. I gotta commend them, still showing some fighting spirit in this game, although it is a 5,000 gold difference, but hold that thought, we have different fights happening here. QTV in quite the trouble here, and we'll be going down to Intresso once again. 6 and 3 on that Victor. That is very scary.
Yeah, this is what happens when a Victor is left unchecked. He will start snowballing. He already has the Morellonomicon completed. We might see Medjay as well. We already have 7 stacks on his Dark Seal. We actually saw a fully stacked Medjay yesterday, and we might actually see that again today if Intresso feels that confident in his Victor skills.
So there we go. And I gotta hand it to Intresso. He has been so consistent for Team Thailand right now. And if there's definitely one person that could really carry the team back into this game, potentially force it into a 2-1, I'm definitely attributing it to Intresso's carry potential. Especially, on this Victor, he has been doing what you'd kind of expect of a Victor, especially with the other members of Thailand kind of at a scary position right now. But Noi getting caught out here, but not really that much damage happening, trying to get onto Ron OP, but Celebrity taking down Sek right there. Here comes the curtain call onto Noi. Will that last hit? Yes! Instead, that'll be going to Levi, though, with the last curtain call not exactly connecting. But
that
still,
could be the first Baron of the game right there. We actually have a TP coming in from QTV. Sek with the aggressive flash in, didn't know that there were 2 other enemy champions right there. Explodes instantly due to the amount of damage that everything can dish out.
Here we go. Optimus trying to prevent Thailand from going in on them whilst they try to take this Baron. Golden Feet and Tresso and Juke trying to do what they can. Look at the damage though. The poke is pretty real as they continue to give chase. QTV getting the CC onto Juke right there, but not exactly that significant. But they will be walking away with this Baron here. I'd say job well done by Vietnam. Mission accomplished, actually.
QTV actually hesitating there. QTV could have gone in, but the call from Vietnam was, hey, let's retreat. We already got the Baron. There's no need to fight. But they lose a turret in response to that Baron. And so far, 4 Baron buffs still up for Vietnam side.
Exactly, that definitely could have been better for Vietnam had QTV had a little bit, or rather, I guess it was a general call to go back. So, but then again, hold that thought right though. Levi getting the kill onto Juke though. So very interesting right now. 10 and 13 now on our scoreboard. Almost lingering towards the 5,000 gold mark still, even with that Baron take, especially since Thailand was able to get a pick off regardless. Still fairly even, although that Baron buff is looking scary for Vietnam.
Especially the fact that Vietnam can get a 3rd Ocean Drake. What's scarier about it is that Elder Drake will be spawning in with the next 2 dragons. So having 4 dragon buffs for Vietnam could be one of their win conditions right now.
Yes, indeed. Look at this. Easily taking this Baron once again. This is the same problem that I had with Team Thailand earlier. They weren't able to establish as much control over this map, which really grants Vietnam all this confidence. But hold that thought right there. Noi gonna get caught catching Optimus right here, but Optimus will be sanguining Pool, but will we be seeing the flash popped up from Optimus, I guess, and he will be escaping right there with the Summer Spell down.
But we have Celebrity rotating to the bot lane together with Levi. He gets spotted out by a ward, so Duke has to back off from this tier 2 mid turret, tier 2 bot turret, and they have to give it up for free.
Yes, look at the push potential here coming from Team Vietnam. That Baron is just pretty scary, along with the fact that we have 3 people down and 4 people actually. Curtain Call coming up, trying to get Juke, and that last hit will connect, still living with a bit of health, and that poke will try to clear out that minion wave to try to prevent any further pushes from Team Vietnam right here.
Vietnam actually prepping a minion wave right now in the mid lane. They are rotating and they will catch Noi in the middle, but Noi getting out. And they actually dispatched this minion wave really quick, so that ends the Vietnam siege onto this tier 2 mid turret.
Yes, indeed. And look at I gotta commend Noi on the tankiness though. He's just taking all this damage like a pro, although it does become problematic once it becomes a topple of all those skills. But with the singular pokes, he can really take it so far.
We might actually see a dive here. We already see Optimus using his ghost. He does have Emo Plague up, but they just take the turret and they back off.
Yes, there we go. Objective control definitely on the court of Vietnam here. Look at the turrets push. 5 in comparison to 2, not to mention 3 dragons being taken, and it's just consistent. That's going to be very scary if Vietnam is able to secure an Elder Drake later during the game.
So the armor pen coming out from the Jin is really useful. 30 flat armor pen against any turret would be super effective. So right now you see that Vladimir is not actually opting to get a ton of damage. He's itemizing more for the utility, getting the Rylai's for the slow, and he's working towards that Zhonya's, trying to stay alive, trying to be that sustained damage source coming out from Vietnam, being a nuisance in the front line of Thailand.
And that's what I love about Vietnam. They're playing their roles properly. Optimus just letting Levi and Celebrity, along with, to an extent, the damage as well from Ron OP translate while exactly as you said, just being the sustained, being a nuisance to Team Thailand, especially going into these clashes right there. 10 and 13 on our scoreboard. Look at the goal difference as well. That's at 8,000 now. Oh, Vietnam just completely overwhelming Thailand, and I'm honestly quite impressed.
Vietnam slowly losing opportunities right here. This is one of them playing very reactionary. Celebrity and the rest of the Vietnamese squad have been taking turrets for free just because of their macro rotation.
Oh, here we go. Here comes the curtain call dealing. Look at the damage going on to Sek though. Will we be able to smite anybody? No, that is not going to be the case as they continue to give chase, deal as much damage as they can. Noi will be going down to QTV right here, and Treso in turn will be getting the killing spree as well. Oh my goodness, that is a 1-in-1 trade so far, but looks like things are not done just yet. And Treso dealing as much damage as they can, but with a little bit of precaution there. Juke a little bit low on mana, not really able to deal that much in this clash right here, and both will be backing off. But here we go, Vietnam trying to get some re-engage, but not quite happening. That's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. I'd say fairly even, but Vietnam doing a fairly good job, especially coming off with healthier health bars and much more damage to offer.
That was actually a beautiful gravity field coming out from Intreso, stopping the entire Vietnamese squad in their tracks. But they still end up losing the first inhibitor of the game. And Vietnam looks like they're not putting the brakes on right at any moment in the near future.
Exactly, and let's just look at this replay here. So they're opening with the curtain call, iconic.
So Sek actually takes the last bullet as well, so Sek is always out of the fight, but Duke actually lands a very nice flank, gets the kill onto QTV in conjunction with the Chaos Storm, and then flanks onto Levi as well. But aside from that, you just have the rest of the Thailand squad backing off, re-engaging, but then they realize that they can't fight this because of how low their AD carry is.
Yes, there we go, 11 and 14 on our score, with almost playing between an 7,000 to 9,000 gold lead. Again, still in favor of Vietnam with all the momentum in the world, but QTV getting caught out there by the members of Team Thailand right there.
QTV just jumping on top of Noi, showing him, hey, I don't care, you can't kill me, I can't kill you, let's just dance in the river right now.
Exactly, and that's just the confidence that Vietnam has at this point, while Thailand playing a little bit more careful, which they should be considering this goal difference right now. And Levi, I must say, this 5-1 on this Graves, not to mention Celebrity as well, being a true celebrity here, 5-2. But here we go, will we be seeing yet another team fight? So here,
Vietnam actually just working this game methodically, so taking out all of the tier 2 turrets slowly and surely, having Dominion waves in the mid and the Vladimir also pushing up, and the slow push at bot lane also.
not to mention, this is again one of the problems that I've had with Thailand, especially even during the previous game. You know, the ward control, the domination on this map, the pressure coming from Vietnam. You know, they just continue to overwhelm them, which is why Thailand had such a hard time. But ooh, look at that! Noi trying to get the damage onto Optimus here, right? Though, but will be get distracted. Blue turret destroyed on the side of Thailand here, but QTV trying to go in with the ult, but not quite happening there. Looks like Vietnam trying to give chase, but ooh, looks like a little bit of exchange happening here. Trying to force this turret though. Vietnam knocking on the doors of Thailand here. They want this inhibitor and will be taking it as well. Very well played by Team Vietnam right there.
Golden Feet being able to arcane shift away from the Mega Gnar ultimate, right? Saving his life, saving Thailand's hope of winning this game. Now Vietnam has has taken 2 inhibitors out of the Thailand team base, and looks like they are positioning for that Mountain Drake, but Thailand pinging a very desperate Baron call, or just establishing vision control. This could be punished by Vietnam, considering that they are in a position to catch Thailand off.
Exactly, and here we go. Vietnam knowing that Thailand trying to an attempt at this Baron, but here we go. QTV going for the flank along with Optimus and Levi. Current call coming up, and we'll get Golden Feet, and last hits on to Noi, and here we go. We still have quite the team fight. Vietnam is not just over yet with QTV popping that Guardian Angel. And Optimus, oh my goodness, taking quite the damage, but will be fronting Juke. Noi and Entresso continuing the chase right there. And Entresso getting the kill, but here we go. Ron OP, still a lot of members up from Team Vietnam, although this will not be continuing though. Levi a little bit low on the health, while Entresso still fairly healthy actually.
Duke not having any more mana. He actually had a flank onto Celebrity. He could have killed Celebrity, but sadly couldn't. We actually have both summoners burned from Celebrity, trying to go up against Impresso. Gets punished and has to burn both his summoner heal and summoner flash. But we have a TP flank coming from QTV onto Impresso. They get Impresso.
Oh, shut down onto Entresso.
With the 4th bullet coming out from the Jin, which could result in the second Baron for Team Vietnam.
Exactly, and
Do note also that the Mountain Drake is still up, so there are many objectives on which Vietnam can capitalize on.
exactly, and with the jungler of Team Thailand going down, this is going to be a fairly easy Baron, especially with the rest of the members of Team Thailand just trying to defend their base right here. And there we go, that is going to be the Baron down, and that's going to be very huge for Team Vietnam right now.
Yeah, things are looking very grim for Thailand right now. So we have actually a really good ult coming out from Celebrity, landing 2 bullets onto Golden Feet, gets the 3rd bullet as well, but Duke getting a good flank onto Celebrity, redirecting all of the aggro. Optimus and Levi going down, and that just stops all the damage coming out from the Vietnamese squad. But they start to recollapse onto Noi, and they're able to get sick via Ron OP's landing his stun and the snare, deadly flourish as well. Duke not having enough mana, could have done more that fight, but that's just one of the problems of not going Gear of the Goddess on base.
So there we go. Things are just looking so dire for Thailand at this point, especially with this Baron buff. You know, they're just Vietnam just gonna have the time of their lives, you know, forcing these lanes and just continually forcing Thailand back into their base with only their Nexus spare potentially as they continue this onslaught of a siege right now here in the bottom lane. Here we go, Optimus getting caught out, but you know, as you said, it's just being a nuisance onto Team Thailand, you know, distracting them here as they continue to push, and will potentially get this inhibitor, but will be responding to Noi right here. Here comes the team right here. Sec easily going down. That is a 2-man. Oh, and there we go. Shut down. Noi onto Celebrity right there. But then again, the clash is not done this yet. QTV trying to do what he can and will be going down. Double kill for Golden Feet right there. Thailand delaying the inevitable push there from Vietnam right there, I must say.
Vietnam actually fighting a 4v5 there. They lost Optimus and they lost a lot of sustained damage as well as the damage amplification. Thailand also knew that Celebrity had no summoner, so Noi actually jumping straight into Celebrity, lands the impale. Beautiful ult coming out from QTV, gets two of the Thailand members, but the sad part is there is no one tanking for Levi, Celebrity, and Ron OP, so they end up losing the fight because QTV going aggressive onto the carries of Thailand, and they end up losing the fight 4-2.
Oh my goodness, Thailand again. Just when you were expecting that they were continually losing hope, they come up with these somewhat, I wouldn't say a comeback, but it was a fairly good delay just to prevent Vietnam from maximizing that Baron buff. Although they were able to push that turret in the bottom, although inhibitor still up for Team Thailand right there.
2 inhibitors up already for Thailand. The top inhibitor going to respawn in the next few minutes as well. So this now depends on how Vietnam wants to play this. They need to set up their side lanes to start slowly pushing into the Thailand team and then rotate accordingly. So now the ball is in Vietnam's court. It has been in Vietnam's court the entire time, but now they have to make a smart decision. They cannot afford another throw like that where their mid laner gets caught out and then they fight without summoners and lose a fight, because that could mean that Thailand could have an opportunity to get back into this game.
And here we go, although Baron buff still up but will be expiring fairly shortly. And here we go with all the inhibitors up for Thailand. It does give them a potential fighting chance. As you said, Vietnam really needs to start pushing what advantage that they have at this point. Although that is a fairly big gold difference though, 12,000 in favor of Team Vietnam right there.
Thailand actually knowing where the Vietnamese team are, they are pinging out the location of all three members in that brush. So as you can see, a lot of tension right now. Thailand grouped up, but their top lane is slowly pushing into the Thailand base. We also have the bot lane of Vietnam slowly pushing into the bot lane of Vietnam.
So there we go, curtain call. Was that the curtain call? Okay. So here we go. So we have Vietnam slowly sieging this mid lane here. They try to want to push into one of these inhibitors, because with those inhibitors, it kind of lessens the burden of Thailand. They don't have to worry about having to defend too hard from any super minions coming from Team Vietnam here. 16 and 20 on our scoreboard right now. But oh, here we go. Ron OP catching out Noi, trying to do as much damage as he can. Curtain call coming up. He's trying to hit Noi here. They are really exerting a lot of effort, and Levi easily taking down Noi right here. 5v4, Thailand just forced back into their base as Vietnam about to push for this onslaught that they can right now with the numbers game. And Noi, the death timer is fairly big, and they will be getting this inhibitor, will be continuing to get further inhibitors right here as they push even harder. Thailand in quite a bit of trouble here. With Noi down right now, they could potentially just really overwhelm Thailand at this point, and will be continuing right now. Will be taking down the top inhibitor as well. Optimus, here we go. Will they be trying to finish this though? Vietnam is really pressuring Thailand with the pure numbers game. Optimus will trying to get, no, the snare will not connect through sec, and inhibitor down once again. Celebrity will be going down, unfortunately, to Cold and Feet right there, and Vietnam will be slowly backing off from that, content with the 3 inhibitors, but Cold and Feet continuing to give chase along with Sek here. Will they be able to take down Ron OP? And yes, that is indeed another takedown. 18 and 21 on our scoreboard. Again, I guess in favor of Vietnam, because they really, all 3 inhibitors down right now. That's going to be fairly scary, forcing Thailand back into their base once again.
Celebrity getting baited in there by the low health Victor, but then Sek with the clutch Mikhail's Crucible onto the Victor saves him from imminent death. Aside from that, as you can see in that fight, Vietnam is very disorganized. You have some people on the right side, Ron OP on the right side, not doing anything whatsoever. 2 people on the left side hitting the inhibitor, while 2 other people hitting the Nexus turret. Vietnam do not know what they want in this fight, and they get punished. They actually end up losing this. Take a look at what's going to happen. Celebrity lances snare onto Etreso, flashes in, but then gets baited by the Crucible into the shield coming out from Karma.
There we go, and here, oh, okay. So Vietnam manages to get the kill onto Juke right here. So again, we have a pure numbers game here with QTV, but here we go. Optimus gonna be responding, but QTV still having that J up with the members of Vietnam still pretty far. Levi And Optimus trying to stall a little bit, but will be getting the kill onto Entresso right though. Vietnam really pulling the stops here. 2 members of Thailand just left, and Vietnam could potentially finish this game right here. 4 members up for Team Vietnam here with only the support and the jungler to defend, but Sek will be going down as well. The curtain call doing its work right here. Noi trying to defend for dear life, but ladies and gents, oh my goodness, this is gonna be the game. Ladies and gentlemen, your champions for the Garena All-Star Championship 2016, Team Vietnam.
That was actually a 3v5 right there, and they still won it. Wow, Vietnam in such stunning fashion, taking the game 3-0, taking the series 3-0. Wow.
I'm just in awe right now. You know, just when you think Thailand, you know, they're just defending so hard, but then again, Vietnam manages to pull those plays off. Iconic. What just happened right there? I'm just trying to process all of that right now.
A lot of that was the Vladimir landing the Hemo Plague on the 3 people. That was Levi doing a ton of damage onto the enemy team as well. Do take note that that was a 3v5. Celebrity and Ron OP weren't in that fight. They were actually in the mid lane. And only until the latter part did Celebrity actually contribute to the fight by landing a deadly flourish. But even without that deadly flourish, they already had the fight won 3v5.
Oh gosh, but I'm just absolutely blown away. But looking at that game, you know, what do you feel was like Vietnam's? You know, they were just really, they were just pretty dominant throughout that game. What would you say attributed to the dominance that Vietnam exerted just really throughout that whole game?
They took a lot of good fights, but then Vietnam also had a lot of mistakes, which were capitalized on by Thailand. But sadly, Thailand didn't have that many opportunities. Vietnam only messed up 2-3 times this game, and even though Thailand would respond well with these small advantages, these small opportunities, sadly it wasn't enough for them to take the game from Vietnam.
So there we go. I'm just literally speechless right now. You know, Vietnam once again are champions. You know, they won GPL, and now they will be representing us potentially at All Stars. I just got to commend not just Vietnam, but you know, Thailand and all the other teams, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, all just beautiful games that we saw here in the Garena All-Star Championship. You know, truly, this is what you'd expect of All-Stars, and they really put on a good show for all of us, I must say. So there we go, ladies and gents. I'm just clearly shaken by everything, but that was the game. Congratulations once again to, that was Vietnam Championship Series All-Stars, and once again, ladies and gents, that is going to be the end of our series for today. So once again, with you for today, we have been your casters. This is Coach Arctic at your service, and once again with the insightful Iconic with us. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you very soon during the next cast. Here, but will be escaping that, but Levi taking too much damage right there. Will be chasing Optimus as well. Will Optimus be going down as well? Noise ult is down, and Optimus continuing to try to walk away from this, and will indeed, that is going to be we have the curtain call coming up. Will they be able to snipe Entresso though? And Sek will be blocking that last hit though. Noi trying to get the kill, and yes, that is going to be a 1-for-1 trade so far. Continuing to give chase. Thailand, you know, looking to be good here. Noi will not be getting that much damage onto them there, and you know, so far like a brother right there. But then again, Optimus taking a lot of damage as well, but then again trying to trade off as much as they can. You know, with the onslaught on them, they continue to give chase, but will they be able to going down? Unfortunately, you know, Thailand trying to make the comeback right here. Trying to get onto Ron OP, but Celebrity taking down Sek right there. Here comes the curtain call onto Noi. Will that last hit? Yes! Instead, that will be going. Here we go. Optimus trying to prevent the Thailand from going in on them last they tried to take this Baron. Golden Feet and Tresso and trying to do what they can. Look at the damage though. The poke is pretty real as they continue to give chase. QTB getting the CC onto Duke right there, but not exactly that significant. But they will be. Oh, here we go. Here comes the curtain call dealing. Look at the damage going on to Sektor. Will we be able to smite anybody? No, that is not going to be the case as they continue to give chase, deal as much damage as they can. Noi will be going down to QTV right here, and Tresso in turn will be getting the killing spree as well. Oh my goodness, that is a 1-in-1 trade so far, but looks like things are not done just yet. And Tresso dealing as much damage as they can, but with a little bit of precaution there. Juke a little bit low on mana, not really able to heal that much in this clash right here, and both will be backing off. But here we go, Vietnam trying to get some engage, but not quite. That's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. I'd say it looks like a little bit of exchange happening here. Trying to force this turret though. Vietnam knocking on the doors of Thailand here. They want this inhibitor and will be taking it as well. Very well played by Team Vietnam right there.
Golden Feet
Going for the flank along with Optimus and Levi. Curtain call coming up and we'll get Golden Feet and last hits on to Noi, and here we go. We still have quite a team by Vietnam. It's not just over yet with QTV popping that Guardian Angel. And Optimus, oh my goodness, taking quite the damage, but will be fronting Shoot. Noi and Entresso can be continuing the chase right there. And Entresso getting the kill, but here we go. Ron OP, still a lot of members up from Team Vietnam, although this will not be continuing. Though Levi a little bit low on health, while Entresso still fairly healthy actually. Now that is a two-man. Oh, and there we go. Shot down. Noi onto Celebrity right there. But then again, the clash is not done just yet. QTV trying to do what he can and will be going down. Double kill for Golden Feet right there. Thailand delaying. Curtain call coming up. Trying to hit Noi here. They are really exerting a lot of effort. And Levi easily taking down Noi right here. 5v4, Thailand is forced back into their base as Vietnam about to push for this onslaught that they can right now with the numbers game. And Noi, you know, the death timer is fairly big and they will be getting this inhibitor, will be continuing to get further inhibitors right here as they push even harder. Thailand in quite a bit of trouble here. Noi, with Noi down right now, they could potentially just really overwhelm Thailand at this point and will be continuing right now. Will be taking down the stop inhibitor as well. Optimus, here we go. Will they be trying to finish this though? You know, Vietnam is really pressuring Thailand with the pure numbers game. Optimus will trying to get, no, the snare will not connect to the second. And inhibitor down once again. Celebrity will be going down. Unfortunately to Golden Feet right there. And Vietnam, members of Vietnam still pretty far. Levi and Optimus trying to stall a little bit, but will be getting the kill onto Entresso right though. Vietnam really pulling the stops here. Two members of Thailand just left, and Vietnam could potentially finish this game right here. Four members up for Team Vietnam here with only the support and the jungler to defend, but Sek will be going down as well. The curtain call doing its work right here is Noi trying to defend for dear life, but ladies and gents, oh my goodness, this is gonna be the game. Ladies and gentlemen, your champions for the Garena All-Star Championship 2016, Team Vietnam.
That was actually